Hi, and welcome to the Keys to Therapy. On today's episode, we have MacKenzie. Hey, MacKenzie.
Hi.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am located in a suburb of St. Louis, Missouri, called St. Charles, a cute little area, kind of a historic area. So I have a private practice, and I also have a collective, which is just a group of other individual practices that we just all are in one space. Happy family. So yeah.
Cute.
Do you want
So,
more specifics?
yeah, tell me a little bit about who you work with.
Sure, yeah. I over the years, gosh, I've worked with everyone, but now my passion is moms because I am one, and then therapist moms because I'm also a therapist mom. So it
You're
makes
qualified.
sense. I do, yeah, yeah. I kind of know what I might be talking about.
Yeah, both ends.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what I wanted today's focus to be about, would be telling us
Yeah,
a little bit more about that population. So you're kind of
sure.
helping us kick off a new series here on
Oh,
this.
awesome.
Yeah, you're the first one to
Nice.
talk about a
Oh,
population. So
that's so special.
groundbreaking.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, so I think it would be helpful, since we have like a lot of new therapists that come
Mhm.
to, the channel looking for information,
Mhm.
stuff like that. I think it'd be helpful for people to know a little bit more about this population, so it
Sure,
can help them decide if this is a population they want to work with,
sure,
how to work with them, stuff along
sure.
those lines. So
Mhm.
if you could just tell me a little bit more about maybe what drew you to working with moms and therapist
Mhm.
moms.
Sure. Yeah, part of my journey is a journey of infertility. So that was kind of my first step into it. My daughter is adopted, and so the infertility, the adoption part, people don't talk about that a whole lot.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a very personal thing, but also it's a very isolating thing. And um, I think that infertility, especially, is one of those topics that, while people want very, very desperately to be supportive and validating, I really think that that's one of the topics that you truly cannot even begin to understand unless you've gone through it.
Mhm.
Um, and not to discount again anyone being, validating and empathetic and whatever, but it's just such a different journey than anything. So that's kind of how I got started. And then just kind of, again, my daughter is adopted, so we do have a child, and the um, the madness, the shit show that comes with that. I don't know that I was quite prepared for that. So yeah, I just, when you find out you're pregnant or whatever, you have all of these like dreams and, oh, it's going to be wonderful. It's not, is it? Not all the time. And I have a very spirited daughter, and she's wonderful. I love her, but it's really hard, and it takes a toll on my relationship with my husband. It takes a toll on my relationship with myself and others. And so I just really was drawn to just a couple of people really on my caseload at one point that were going through similar things. And I don't know, it just kind of morphed into, like, I'm known as the mom therapist on Instagram. So I mean, I kind of named myself, but still.
Whatever, put the crown on.
No, right? I really do need one. And then last beginning of summer, I was at a summit in Nashville, and I don't know what happened, some energy or something from the universe. I do enjoy working with therapists. I
Mhm.
also suffer from imposter syndrome really, really badly.
We
And
all
so,
do.
yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Um, but I have worked with a couple of therapists in the past, and I'm like, gosh, I really do love that population. But like, what if I do it wrong? What if they're like, yeah, she doesn't know what the hell she's doing? That always really freaked me out. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm like over that because I really love therapists. And I mean, I think that we get each other like on a different level than any other person. And then you throw in the mom part of that, and therapist moms, like that's a whole other creature, and it's insane. So we're never off. Like we can never stop giving.
Mhm.
And that then ties into like the self-care piece that I really focus on with my moms and my therapist moms.
Mhm.
Um, it's just, yeah, we suck as therapists at taking care of ourselves.
Yeah,
Whether we're or not, we just really suck at it.
right. Then you throw in the mom part and you're like, ooh, on both ends.
I know, like, what? I have nothing to give myself. So, yeah, just really empowering um, moms and therapist moms, and just kind of creating a community for them, because private practice is isolating sometimes. And that's why I started my collective, because I was by myself,
Mm.
and during COVID that was okay, but then I was like, I really miss like just saying hi to somebody in the kitchen, like, hey, what's for lunch. And so I found my space, I found some people, and I love it. It's like, oh, so great. I love it.
Oh,
So
that's so
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it's a little energizing. It's a little I think it's a little bit of self-care too, like to be around other people who know what it is like to be a therapist and or a mom, and all of the things, and owning your own business. Like that's like a shit show in itself. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just craziness on so many levels. So
Yeah. And like the whole premise of my channel is like the stuff they didn't teach you in grad school. And like owning a business is definitely one of those, let alone like
yeah.
creating community and self-care. I think
Mhm.
maybe one professor once was like, make sure you take care of yourselves, burnout's real. And that was it. But
Right, like, okay, what does that mean?
yeah.
'Cause I think after, especially after, the pandemic at its height and whatnot, I think self-care really has to mean something different to people these days. And it's really changed, and I think we're noticing that and we're making that happen, but, like, it's not about, like, going to get your nails done or your hair done. Like, yes, that's part of it, but there needs to be a whole lot more, and I don't think we're ready for that. I don't think we're emotionally like ready to invest that time and space for ourselves. So
Mhm. And especially the
there
populations
I
you
am.
mentioned, there's a lot of guilt associated with self-care, especially with moms.
Mom guilt is so, yeah. I follow a gal, and I don't know if you saw it on my page on Instagram. I think Diary of an Honest Mom.
Mm.
She is fantastic. And I actually messaged her the other day, and she actually messaged me back,
Oh,
because like she's like a celebrity in my eyes. And I was like, oh my God, she messaged me back.
yeah.
Oh my God. But I was like, she posted something about it not being like really mom guilt.
Mm,
It's shame.
yeah.
Like we feel shameful for taking time for ourselves. Like we feel like that's a bad thing. And like where in the hell did that come from? It's so yucky. It's so gross.
I
And
see that all the time with like, I love celebrity stuff. So like in the comments, say there's like, I don't know, a celebrity who's out. And people are like, how come she's not with her kids? How come she's out here dating because she's divorced or something? Like I remember Megan Fox, I think it was like out with her new boyfriend. Everybody's like, but where are her kids? And she comes was like with their father, who's their parent too.
right.
Like there's
Right. Or a grandparent, or like, who cares? Like, why are you judging them?
yeah, but I see that all the time in like the comments of certain like things on
Mhm.
social media where, and sometimes
Yeah.
it's coming from other moms. So it's
Oh,
like they
yeah.
kind of bought into this idea and then
Mhm.
they're shaming the other moms, maybe because they're not doing
Mhm.
some of those things. So it's like, well, I need to make sure it's a bad thing
Right.
because if it's a bad
Right.
thing, then I don't feel guilty for not doing it. And
Right.
whole
Yeah.
thing, it's
Yeah.
complicated.
It kind of spins out of control a little bit. So, yeah, that's kind of one thing that I'm working on, just in my own life this
Mhm.
year, is really battling that shame, that guilt, whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
and embracing that I need to do those things. I want to do those things. Those things are healthy for me. like when I went to Greenville and met you,
Mhm.
my daughter asked me before my trip, she's like, Mommy, why do you have to go away? And I
Mhm.
was like, oh, baby, because it'll be better for all of us. I'm like, it's good for us to have time apart. It's good for us to like be with other people our age, away from like school or work or whatever, and I said, when you're older, you'll understand more. And so yeah, and I want to model that for her too, that it's
Mhm.
okay, and my husband, thank goodness, is so very supportive. He's like, yeah, go, it's fine. They always have a good time without me. So
It's fine.
yeah,
It ends up being just okay.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And then I get like really amazing snuggles when I get home. So it
Oh,
is good. As
yeah,
they say, absence makes the heart grow fonder.
true. Yeah. And it does. Cause then usually after like a day or so, you're like, oh, they were so annoying yesterday, but today I
I
kind
know, right? Today I'd be okay with that.
of
Yeah. Well, and I left Greenville early to go home because I missed them.
Oh, yeah. See, that's a good thing.
I know it was. And when I was like, I cannot get on this plane fast enough, let's go.
Yeah.
Peace. Bye.
But
Fend
again,
for yourselves.
exactly. But having that time away makes you then be grateful versus when
Absolutely.
you're in it all the time. It's kind of hard
Yes,
to see anything but the stress of it.
exactly. Yeah. Yep.
I think something else you hit on earlier that I've noticed, even like amongst friends, is when you mentioned the infertility stuff. I think that
Mhm.
I can think of a lot of friends who, even at my own wedding, one friend decided, I mean, I put all the therapist friends together, so you already know the conversations we're
Right,
going to be
absolutely.
at
It
that
got
table.
deep.
But I know one person said that they'd mentioned like that they'd recently had a miscarriage, and then somebody
Mm,
else said that they'd had one. And so then
yeah.
everybody at the table was talking about all of that,
Mhm.
and it's just
Yeah.
it's something that's so common, but you
Mhm.
don't hear a lot about it. But then the second one person pipes up about her.
Right? Then it's like, "Oh, okay, cool. I can talk about this now." Like, I feel like I have people who get it, who will understand and not just be, and again, I don't wanna, like, discount anyone saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that happened." But I feel like that's different
Mm,
from, "I went through that too."
mhm.
I get that. Like, it's just, again, a deeper level of understanding and empathy, and that person just gets you, and you honestly, you don't really have to say too much, other than I went through that too. And you just kind of like instantly bond together without a whole lot of words said. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be something that attracts clients to you too, you being honest about your own journey. Cause I know that's another thing with grad school is like self disclosure and like
Mhm.
don't talk about yourself and don't bring yourself into the room. And it's like, but like we're people first. So I'm going to be in the room. And
You
so,
know,
yeah,
yeah, my
that's
philosophy on that is fuck that.
period.
Period. Yeah.
Mhm.
I I think that a lot of our guidelines, because I don't know that that's even like an ethical thing. I think a lot of our guidelines for, um, I'm a social worker, so I will speak from
Mhm.
the social worker perspective, but I think a lot of those guidelines are very antiquated. Like, I guarantee you, I am not going to go to my own therapist who just sits there and says, tell me more about that. And
Mm,
maybe write something down. No, I want to know how many kids you have. I want to know what their ages are. I want to know that you also think that this is a fucking shit show,
mhm.
and that you're going to say that and not just be like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry you feel that way. Yeah, no, no. Like, I have a very passive aggressive interview process for a therapist, because I'm like, I got to know that you're a real person and you're not a
Yes.
robot. And
Mm.
that's why my clients love me, because I am a real person. And I'll be like, yeah, that was awful. Like, fuck him or fuck them, whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's what keeps them coming back. They're like, you're actually a real person. I'm like, yes, yes, I am.
Thank you for that compliment.
Right?
Because in
I
this
do what I can.
yeah, it is a compliment in this field. Because
Right?
and I'll
Yeah.
tell people that in the intake sometimes. I'll be like, "Listen, I'm not gonna be like read all these books, do these worksheets and come back to me. Like, I am going to tell you, so I want to see the photos of
Mhm.
the guy you're talking to on the dating app.
Absolutely.
Like,
Show me. Bring
yes.
your baby in, please, because I want to hold it. Yes,
Yeah.
please. Yes, I want to see the dress that you bought that you feel great in. Like, yes,
Mhm.
my clients send me TikToks all the time and I love it. I'm like, oh, we have such a good relationship that you can send me this TikTok that really spoke to you, or I can send you a TikTok that made me think of you. And they're like, oh, thank you. Like, I'm like, oh, goodness.
Yeah. Oh, I love it though. Yeah.
It's great. It's
One of
great.
mine loves the show Gossip Girl. And so I watched that too back in the day. And so
Nice.
sometimes her emails will be like XOXO Gossip Girl instead of
Oh, cute.
her name, and I just love it because it just is like that
Uh-huh.
human quality. And
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
client has followed me. This is the third place that,
Mhm.
my own
Oh,
practice
yeah.
that we've met
Oh,
throughout
yeah.
the years. And so,
Yeah.
sometimes those bonds, they've got to be human first. So I love
Yeah.
that when you were talking about your own experience, I'm sure there's some of that. And there's the lines, of like, you're
Of
not going to make
course.
a
Of
discussion about
course.
you, whatever.
Yeah. Of course. Of
But
course.
the respect you're going to earn and the openness that client is going to feel knowing that you can relate on some level to what they've
Mhm.
gone through. Oh my
Yeah.
God, there's like not even a price tag on that. They are going to
Exactly.
feel so heard and seen by you.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. I just had a client come back to me after, let's see, I stopped seeing her like at some point during the pandemic, I think in 20. And so it's now 2023. And she just came back because she's like, something came up. I've tried some other people. I don't want to have to like tell them the whole story. You know it. You get me. I'm coming back. I don't, she's like, you're a little spendy, but she's like, you're worth it. My mom said to just do it. And she's like in her 50s. I'm
I
like, well, tell your mommy I said thank you and I'm worth it.
Yes. I love your mom. Thank you.
I
Like,
know, right?
yeah. I love that though. And again, it
Yeah.
shows the value that you bring.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that part of that is your lived experiences.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
I mean, I've heard people say like your ideal client was you at some point in your life.
Oh, absolutely.
Makes sense.
I am 1,000,000% my ideal client. That feels weird to say. Like, that feels like, okay, that definitely is crossing a line. Like, that's what they taught us in grad school. That's
Right.
not what we should do. But I'm like, who knows my ideal client better than me? Like,
Exactly.
duh. It's like a no-brainer. Like, yeah, I don't understand the philosophy that other people have. Again, it's kind of those antiquated like ideals that we don't share, and we see everyone. No, mm-mm. I don't want to see everyone. Those
No.
people drain me. My other clients that I like super bond with, like they are my ideal client, like they energize me. They
Mhm.
don't drain me. They energize me. And
Yeah.
that seems very counterintuitive, but it isn't. It isn't. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's easier on our end too, because it's not just like, oh gosh, like what strategy could potentially help this person with this disorder, or let me research some stuff, or, all of
yeah,
that. It flows naturally when you're like, okay,
absolutely.
like here's what you can try. Let's look at
Mhm.
this, because it
Mhm.
just seems like it's less mental effort on your part. And it also
Exactly.
is
Yeah.
more, it flows with them.
And it resonates with them more. Like, I love nothing more than when a client is like, I got into this situation and I heard your voice. I'm like, yep,
Yeah.
glad I could help.
I love that too. It's like,
It's
ooh,
awesome.
you were listening. That's great.
I know, right? Like, oh, good, you heard that. Thank you.
Ah, love it. Well, throughout your career, I know we've talked some about like personal experiences. Were
Mhm.
there any like trainings, books, accounts, like maybe have helped you work with this population better?
Um, yes, actually, probably. Um, I, for a long time, like when EMDR came out,
Hmm.
like everybody all of a sudden was doing EMDR. And for
Yeah.
some reason, I'm just oppositional enough where I'm like the newest pop star or the newest baseball player that everybody's in love with. I'm like, maybe not. And so EMDR was the same thing. And I'm like, everybody's doing it. I don't need to do it. I did it in my own therapy and I was like, Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So I signed up and I took the course, and that honestly has been probably the most impactful. I had one client who like waited for months. I'm like, I can refer you out. What? She's like, no, I'll wait for you. And it was right after Christmas. And the first day she sent me a text message. She's like, have a great week learning. I can't wait to hear more. I
So cute.
I know she was just waiting,
Wow.
and she's done really great processing. And like, yeah, EMDR has really been really impactful for myself personally and for my clients. And yeah, one of my other clients calls it voodoo magic. She's like, but whatever this voodoo magic is, it works. I'm like, I know.
Yeah, it's definitely different because it's going to get to a certain spot in their heads that maybe
Yeah.
like verbally they
That you can't access. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm really excited to like just do more and more with that. I know Libby's got her stuff coming out
can't.
and, doing more trainings with her. Um, as far as other, I really, several years ago, I really latched on to, I forget his name, but he does mindfulness based cognitive therapy. I'm a CBT girl. And so that like just really, really struck me, just
Mhm.
being more present in the moment and shutting everything else off like purposefully. And like I kid you not, like when I'm really focused and I'm really practicing mindfulness,
Mhm.
it's almost like time actually slows down.
Mm.
It's weird. It's a weird phenomenon, but yeah, it's really cool. So probably those two are what I use most, and they go very nicely together as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
like with the resourcing and stuff with the EMDR, I
absolutely.
could see how that would be
Yep.
really helpful.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the basis of, I could probably say majority and not be too far off, but the basis of a lot of people's struggles are based in trauma, and
Mm.
not necessarily the big traumas, but the little ones too, that they're like, well, that's not even really a big deal. That's not a trauma. Yeah, it is, because
Mm.
it left you thinking something differently about yourself. So, yeah. And like shedding light on that, like validating that, yeah, that is a trauma. Like, it doesn't have to be your house burning down or you were in an accident or, whatever. It can be that somebody laughed at you when you fell or whatever, and just really validating that for people, it's very eye-opening for them. And, they struggle a little bit in the beginning to like really acknowledge that and really like be okay with, yes, that is a traumatic event for
Mhm.
you. But then they come around to it. They're like, oh, okay, I can see where that then showed up other times in my life. So yeah, maybe you're right.
Like, yes, I am.
Yeah. Yes, yes, I am.
Yeah, and that's interesting too with EMDR because I think a lot of people think of that as like a big T trauma
Right,
modality, but
right.
it really starts with because I've been trained in it too. It starts with the thought processes, like you were saying.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it could be anything that changed the way that you thought. It could I'm not good enough or anything that fed those thoughts. And God knows
Mhm.
moms have a lot of
Oh
those.
my gosh. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, my daughter triggers me on a daily basis. Yeah, like that first "I hate you" is really awful to hear, and yeah, it kind of challenges some other thoughts that a mom has, or, even like with a traumatic birthing process, or like I have a couple of clients who didn't get to have the birth that
Mhm.
they wanted. Like their babies were premature, or they got, something happened. That is traumatic, and that's both of them are like scared to death to get pregnant again, rightfully so. And so working through that with them, with the EMDR and stuff is really, really helpful.
Yeah, so that's definitely a big one. I think that can
Mhm.
EMDR can be applied to so many different things. So it's
Oh my
important for
gosh.
people to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you kind of answered this one in certain pieces, but is there any like specific techniques or strategies or things that you think maybe therapists should know or do when they're working with these populations?
Um, hmm.
You said validation is probably the biggest to start.
Yeah, I think, yeah, yeah, hands down. That's going to be the most, because again, the mom guilt or shame, whatever you want to call it, is so deep,
Mhm.
and every mom has it. I don't know a mom that doesn't have it. Like, I don't think that we get around it. I don't think that we get to skip that part. I think it comes up in, and I don't care how confident of a person you are or whatever. I think there's always a point where you just feel that way. And I think that working through that with them and validating their feelings is super important to get them through that.
Mhm.
Did that make any sense?
Yeah, yeah, because like you said,
Okay.
there's certain therapists that their way is like, oh, explain more, tell me more.
Right.
I understand. And they're
Mhm.
not out here really like diving into some of those feelings or tearing them apart or, like
Right.
validating and being like, okay, that may be true, but what else is true? And,
Mhm.
kind of digging into that. And I
Mhm.
think for some moms and definitely therapist moms, like, I think it's probably really scary to walk into someone's office and admit some of these things that they've
Oh,
been
yeah.
feeling. I mean, I know a lot of the moms that I've worked with in the past have been like, oh, and they almost always preface before they say the thing, they always start with, I know this is probably gonna make me sound really bad.
Mhm.
And then they get into the, I need to get away from my kid. Like, I
Yes.
love coming to work. It's my escape, or whatever
Mhm.
the thing is that they're like,
Yeah.
I have to tell you this deep, dark secret. And then once they say it, I'm
Uh-huh.
like, oh, that's it. I'm like thinking you killed someone.
I know, right? Like, I feel that on the daily, like, okay, like, no big deal.
Yeah, like even as a
Yeah.
dog mom, sometimes I'm like, are they happy? Did I play with them enough today? Like, did I yell too loud when
Did
I
I
said
forget
this
to feed them?
part? Yeah. Did they get enough like time outside today?
Right,
I
right.
can imagine like legit kids.
Yeah.
But with moms, like that's been they're almost like scared to say things out loud because of how it's gonna sound.
Mhm.
And that's with one
Oh,
person.
yeah. Oh,
So
yeah. Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
lot, but I think you're
Yeah.
right. Like the validation's huge. They just need to hear that that's normal.
Yeah, exactly. I think another technique too that I use a lot is from DBT,
Mhm.
where two opposing thoughts can be true at the same time.
Mhm.
Like, you can love your kids and want to be away from them for 8 hours a day. And
Yeah.
both of those things are okay. And
Mhm.
so, like, just getting people to kind of wrap their head around that concept that those two things can be true at the same time,
Mhm.
and that's okay. That's kind of mind blowing for people.
It is, yeah, because it feels like it's a very black and white world sometimes.
Right, yeah, yeah, we want it to be black and white, but it's a very
Mhm.
gray area.
Yeah, and that can feel kind of unsafe for some
Yeah.
people,
Oh,
but
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, in some other ways, it's like there's shades here. Like it doesn't, you're not a bad
Mhm.
mom because you are dreading summertime when they're out of school.
Right,
Like,
right, right. Yes, exactly.
well, are there any additional tricks, things that maybe you would recommend for any therapists who want to work with moms or therapist moms?
Um, I don't really, besides those things, I don't think there's anything else that I can think of offhand. I'm sure as soon as we're done here, I'll think of several.
Oh, you mentioned social media earlier. It sounds like that's been like a useful tool for you too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, everybody's doing like, TikTok and whatever, and like those things are gospel to people. So, putting stuff out and again, validating that for people that other people like that you see on social media, they are they are real people,
Mhm.
and they are experiencing these very real things that you are. And I think that's why TikTok is so like
Mhm.
impressionable and important to people, is because they do feel seen without saying the words, without admitting those things. They're like,
Mhm.
oh, this person also feels this. Okay, I'm not crazy. Like, I'm okay. I'm still a good person, and then they need to take it a little bit deeper. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, but I think that's a good
Be
point
a
'cause
therapist anyway.
yeah, but TikTok's really like pulled the veil off because I know for the longest time, mostly on YouTube, but I would see it, people would tell me about it on like Facebook and Instagram too. But it
Mhm.
was like the I can't think of like the specific word for it. Like the influencer moms who were
Uh-huh.
like, here's the beautiful lunch I made my children. Now here's the grapes that are peeled, and here's the star grilled cheeses. And then after this, we went for a walk. And it's like they're all done up. Their kids are,
Again, fuck that.
yeah. And so
That
all
is
these
not motherhood.
no, that's why it's like the influencer, but so many people bought into that of like,
Right.
this is what I should be doing. So I love
Mhm.
that you had mentioned TikTok earlier because I saw a video yesterday maybe, and it was like, go on vacation with your kids, they said. It'll be fun, they said. And it's like these parents, the kids are screaming on the plane. And then the next thing they're like at the beach throwing sand and saying they hate it. And like they're like screaming at the restaurant, they're crying,
Mhm.
like all of
Mhm.
these things. And the parents are like, yeah, they said it'd be fun. And so,
They lied.
right. But it's like the influencer, because that trend was huge for so long, would have been like, look at their outfits for the beach. And they would just
Mhm.
totally edit out the meltdowns
I
and stuff.
know, right? Right?
So,
Or like they're like bribing their kid, like, if
mhm.
you just do this for mommy, I will give you this candy tomorrow.
Exactly. Say how
We
much
know
fun
that's
they're having.
happening behind the scenes.
Exactly. But it created this like ideal of what
Right?
you should be.
Right?
So I think it's cool, like you said, even clients sending you TikToks, because there's going to be those things that they're like, this is what I was talking about, but in a video form.
Right, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think sometimes, unfortunately, because there are TikToks about this too, sometimes I feel like they don't believe that what I'm saying. Like they're like, okay, yeah,
Mhm.
whatever, MacKenzie. And then they see it on TikTok. They're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that really is true. Or like, I've heard this. And my response is always, gosh, where have you heard that before? Smiley face.
Right. Wonder.
Sound familiar? So at least they're validating what we're saying too.
True. Yeah.
It
It's
makes
just,
me feel better as a therapist too. Like, okay, yeah, I do know what I'm saying, but yeah.
yeah, glad you need the extra validation to believe me, but that's okay. Now you know I was telling the truth.
Right, right. I won't be upset by that.
Yeah. So we get so social media, I think it has its positives too. So I love that that's
It
something to
does.
incorporate.
It does. Yeah. And I mean, I think for the same very same reasons it also is negative because of the influencers and like,
Yeah.
this is the perfect life and oh gosh, wouldn't that be nice? It doesn't exist.
No.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, is there anything that you want to share that you're currently working on?
Oh, yes, I'm glad you asked. Thank you. Yes, so I have started a group, well, a community on Facebook for therapist moms. And honestly, it's not necessarily just for therapist moms, but it's called Theramomas Who Mimosa.
Oh,
And it's just a group of, it's really just like supportive. I just really, again, want to create a community where therapists, moms, therapists, feel empowered and supported, and again kind of get that validation that like you're okay, it's all right, you know and just kind of expanding our social networks as well. So I also have like a bunch of meetups and stuff that we do, and the best part of that is the end of June this year, I am hosting a small retreat in wine country, Missouri. So I'm really excited about that. So, yep, 8 lucky mamas will be able to pay some money for an all-inclusive retreat in a mansion and wineries and massages and whatnot. So it's pretty cool. I'm excited.
oh,
Yeah.
that's so
I'm excited to go, and I created it.
awesome.
But it's like the perfect like weekend that I would want, that I
Uh-huh.
actually just did too, with a girlfriend. But it's like it's just I did everything for them. Like I took care of everything. They just need to show up and sign up and show up. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to spoil these mamas, and yeah, in a good way. Like they need to relax. Again, we suck at taking care of ourselves.
Mhm.
So they can just relax and do what they want, not do what they want. It's just, oh, I'm so excited about it. It'll be awesome. So
Yeah, that sounds
I
amazing.
hope, yeah, I hope that's the beginning of many more. So yeah.
That would be great. And I know that I'm
Yeah.
going to link below
Yes.
the info for all of that. And you
Mhm.
also said that there may be a code for viewers.
Yes, if they email me or reach out in some way and mention this video, then I will give them $100 off of their registration fee. So
Nice. Cute little
yeah.
bonus here for
Yep.
their
Yep.
moms.
Yep.
But yay. Well, thank you for taking the time to do this today. I really
Oh,
appreciate
thanks for having me. It was super fun.
it. Well, like I said to you guys, I'm going to put all of Mackenzie's info underneath the video. So if you want to check out the retreat, if you want to follow her on Instagram, I'll put her email as well. And then you guys can contact her. But subscribe below. Stay
Yeah.
tuned for more episodes. And thank you again, Mackenzie.
Thank you.
Bye.